Hello and welcome to another episode of Inside Voices First Takes. I am still your host, Adam Rubin.
And I am still your co-host, Colin Binnig.
Indeed he is. And tonight, we're going to be discussing the movie we've just seen from theaters, which is why neither of us will be sleeping for a while. Annihilation.
It's destroying everything.
It's not destroying. It's making something new.
What, Colin?
Or as I like to call it.
What?
Or as I would like to call it, Blender the movie.
Oh my God, Colin. Oh my God, this movie. might be the scariest movie I've ever seen.
What?
It might be the scariest movie I've ever seen.
Have you not seen any
kidding.
movies? This is oh wow. Okay.
I'm not kidding.
You saw the Thing, right? Back in college?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is not scarier than that.
I thought it was. For me, this was.
No, Alien beats
Ooh boy.
Exorcist.
Colin, this was a crazy movie.
Okay. Give me your first thoughts. Come on. Just so you say it's the scariest movie you've ever seen. That's your first impression.
My first thought, so we got to be careful here because this part's got to not have any spoilers.
Yes. No spoilers.
My first thoughts were that it was, number one, not what I expected. So maybe this context will help. I went into this and I definitely thought this movie was going to be very much Arrival. Like from the trailers, I was like, oh, this is Arrival. And in a lot of interesting ways, it is Arrival. The main protagonist's backstory, very, very similar to Arrival. Depressed academic who's struggled with the loss of a loved one and gets pulled into a black...
No,
What?
It's not the same in that regard, but we'll talk about that later. Okay. Keep
gets
going.
swept up in a covert government operation to try to observe and understand an alien phenomenon. Like in a lot of ways it was. And then they're studying her because she's been affected by it.
Some ways.
Very, very much. But in all meaningful ways, this was like the anti-Arrival. This was like the negative, the inverse version of that movie. This movie was bonkers movie.
Yeah. No.
I loved it.
Okay.
Wow. Just as an experience, like, whew, this was a hell of a thing. Hell of a thing. Go see it.
Well,
but I'm not a date movie, in my opinion.
depending on what type of relationship you want, who knows?
Well, fair enough.
First of all, I'm borrowing Anti-Arrival from now on. That's a perfect way.
This was Departure. I'm going to call this movie Departure.
Okay.
Oh.
I'm with you in a lot of sense. First of all, I would not even classify this movie as a horror movie. It does not fit in the horror genre. It's a sci-fi movie.
And neither would I, for the record. I'm not saying this is a horror movie.
You saying it's the scariest movie you've ever seen, that would almost seem like it's a horror movie.
It's a very scary movie, but it's not horror.
Let me say this. I don't think it's necessarily a scary movie. I will say this movie is fantastic at doing tension. This movie is a masterclass and like adding dread and tension, to a scene or just building up through the entire movie. If you want to be able to, do any of that in a film of your own doing, watch this movie. Annihilation knows what it's doing in order to amp up, like, oh, something's gonna happen. Even if it's not like that sense isn't throughout the entire movie. It's just when it needs to show up. Oh, it shows up. Oh, it shows up.
I thought it was pretty much through the whole movie, and that's what I mean by scary. Like, right, this is a movie where you never can relax the whole movie.
Well, it's very much an edge of your seat movie. That doesn't mean it's scaring you the whole time. It's not. It's just making you feel sometimes a little antsy. You're kind of like, okay, where's this going? Do I like this? Stuff like that. It adds the tension and dread so well, but I can't qualify it as a horror movie or even the scariest movie of recent memory.
Right.
Sorry, I can't agree with you there. But I will say this.
Fine.
It is a very well-made movie. This is a very well-made movie. It knows what it's doing for the most part. We'll get into. I don't disagree about that later.
We will, because I'm sure we're thinking of the same thing. But yeah.
But I also say this is a definite see it in the theater.
You gotta see it.
You gotta go and see it. It's a really well done experience for sure.
What do you give it? Because I think this is the best movie that's come out in a while.
We're giving it scores now.
Yeah, let's do scores. Let's do some scores because we can't really say anything else about it without spoiling it. So let's give the non-spoiler people some scores at least to go off of.
This at least gets an 8. I might even bump it up to like an 8.2.
I am not even copying you. I had it written in my notes, 8.5. That's absolutely. I walked out of the theater. I said that's an 8.5. That was very well done. There are a couple bits that. There's one.
Well, there's one for me, but yeah.
Not plot thing. There's one plot thing that will go unmentioned that for me is iffy, and there is one characterization for me that was poorly done, and that's it. But it does the experience is still incredible, and it's 2 hours further ahead for me, so it's 1 a.m. for me, and I'm not gonna get to sleep. And when I do get to sleep, heaven help me once I get to sleep, because I'm gonna have some weird nightmares tonight. Weird nightmares. Wow. All right, so we're pretty close here. We're pretty close on this movie.
Yeah.
So that's it, guys. Go see the movie. Know what you're getting. I would say know what you're getting into. So if it's kind of date where scary movie, a tense edge of your seat movie is what you both want, then I guess it is a date movie. Go for it. But maybe it'll be like Speed, where like 2 people survive something harrowing, and then the endorphins are flowing. Maybe it's a good date movie.
Well,
I'm reversing my position on this.
A thriller type of movie that makes you feel. Yeah. That's what I'm trying to go for. Yeah.
Okay, I'm reversing my position. Go see it with a date. If you don't go with the date, try to ask someone out on your way out of the movie, because everyone's probably going to be in that mindset. This is a good movie to pick up a date on. Go for it. Go see it, enjoy, and
America, don't listen to Adam about this.
Go see the movie, then get some therapy, and then come back and watch the rest of this discussion. Okay, spoilers alert.
Let's go. Let's get into the meet and gritty.
Let's go. Go for it.
All right. First of all, as a resident, pseudoscientist, did you have any problems with the crazy sciencing stuff that was all happening? Okay, so apparently the shimmer, it's an alien thing. It comes on, it lands on Earth, it keeps growing, and when you're inside it, basically everyone's DNA, plant life, animal life, the bark in the tree, the soil, the house material, all your DNA is basically, let's put it into a melting pot and let's get crazy.
It's all gotten refracted.
Like I said, it's Blender the movie. We're just gonna, and then let's see what comes out. There's a nice new smoothie.
Yeah.
Were you okay with all that? Were you fine, Mr. Scientist boy?
Okay. This is a perfect example of not explaining it is much better than trying to explain it. So I preferred it before. Like I was down with wacky mutations. I did not like the physicist deciding that what had happened was everything was getting refracted, and then declaring that refracted means scrambled, which it does not at all. So could have done without that. But it was quick, and it's so deep into the movie that I was already all about this movie by the time she opened her stupid fake physicist mouth. So I was okay with it. It was quick and it was over, and then they never brought up the refraction thing again. So good.
When that explanation happened, I'm like, oh God, are we gonna have a Fringe moment where Adam's gonna be like, this isn't what happens?
No, this was not anywhere near as egregious as a Fringe thing. That wasn't even one of my 2 things that I was going to bring up as issues with the movie. I was totally willing to forgive that nonsense explanation about the shimmer, because the movie ultimately ends with I don't know what was going on, and that's correct.
Let me get into my thoughts throughout the movie.
Okay. Yeah. Let me hear it.
So first of all, like I said, this movie is it is a masterclass in tension. I mean, specifically, the entire scene on the video camera where the husband cuts out the entire flesh to show this worm wrapped around. That's not even that thing pops out of the camera. It's not making you try to jump, but you just feel so uneasy. You just feel, you like lean back almost. You have physical reaction to it. It's so well done. And then what topped that was the house scene, right? When they're all tied up.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
It opens its mouth and the scream of the first human that was killed, a shepherd, I think. Her voice is coming out of the monster whenever it's opening. I have never seen. That is one of the most
scariest thing I've ever seen.
It is freaky. It was one of the freakiest things. It is. I have never seen that in any movie before that I can recall. Yeah. That whole scene was so like, if you're not like almost dripping in sweat, there's something wrong with you physically. Because that scene alone would have given this movie like almost, perfect score. Like that was
terrifying. That was a terrifying fucking thing.
So for most of this movie, it is really good. I mean, I love the literal nonlinear structure, I should say, where we get flashbacks of Natalie Portman's character, and we see how like the marriage wasn't perfect when we thought it was initially. I liked that. It exposed
also very much like Arrival. I would just like to point out yet another Arrival parallel.
The part we were wrong though about Arrival, just quickly, is that you said, "Oh, she already had a loss but before she joined the government." No, remember her loss is in the future, so she hasn't experienced it yet.
She has experienced it. She just doesn't know why she's experienced it.
But she actually hasn't lived through it yet. She's just
Colin. We're not here to talk about Arrival. You're wrong about Arrival, but that's a different episode.
So, like I said, and also what struck me, I liked it a lot, is the score. The score, especially for the first 2 thirds, kind of had like a twangy western. I couldn't describe, like, you know what I'm saying? Like a very, I thought, this is
punchy
different sci-fi movie. But then the third act, we get like, sci-fi, and
oh my God, it was the music was such an important part of it.
All of a sudden, in the third act, start popping out of nowhere, which was great. It was great.
Goodness.
But my movie, and I'm sure you're gonna, be like, no, where this is going, is the third act, is the actual once she gets into the lighthouse. Okay. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, this movie has what I like to call 2001 syndrome. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's because 2001: A Space Odyssey does not know how to end. It had no ending. It was, here's some things that may have happened. You figure out. You decide what that means, without the movie even knowing what it meant. Unfortunately, Annihilation kind of has something similar. So the whole point of the movie up until then was mutate, right? It's taking everything basically in this environment and it's mixing it all up to create new things, whether they're, beautiful things or they're horrific stuff, okay? But at the end, the doctor decides to like throw up light waves and firefly-looking things, which become like this giant vacuum suction head or something. Her blood goes in. Now we get a duplicate robotic version of her, who just is like mirroring her and getting her motions down, and then starts to look like her at the end.
Which also happened to Kane.
Right.
Much
That's
pretty
what happened
clear.
to Kane. But that version then gets blown up by her, which then causes the entire vessel to get burned down. Then she leaves the Shimmer. Shimmer comes down, and then find out, wait, she might not be the same. She might not be that person either way at all. And Kane, we already know, is not Kane. So it's just like, it doesn't try to explain anything that happens in the third act, and I have a problem with that. It explained nothing, and that's too. It was too much ambiguity, and you know this, so.
Which I liked about it. I liked that a lot about it. For the record, she does not blow up the Shimmer.
She puts the big grenade in its hands and then pulls the pin and runs.
But it doesn't blow up. It is clearly perfectly happy to be on fire, and then it burns the rest of itself to the ground.
But why? Why would it do that? That's so odd.
Because of metaphors, Colin. Because the movie's stated thesis was about the fact that there's a difference between suicide and self-destruction.
Yeah.
And that ultimately, of course, because it was emulating her and she's self-destructive, it literally destroys itself.
But that's a dumb. It's not human. It shouldn't be emulate. Like why is it even bothering to copy?
Because it absorbed her essence.
But I thought the point of this Shimmer and this alien species, if we can call it that, was to create something different, something new. It's not to replicate something that already exists. That's not the same agenda.
But it is pretty clear though that in the refraction, the unexplained refraction process, things are getting imprinted on one another. That's the way it's making new stuff is, crystal with the structure of a tree, trees with the structure of a person. That horrible fucking beast, when it killed what's-her-face, got imprinted with her horrified screams. So because Natalie Portman's blood goes into that fractal flower vacuum, now it's got an imprint of her, and it's trying to understand her. We don't know why. I like the fact that it didn't explain why, because I honestly don't think there's anything too super deep in that metaphor, but it was pretty clearly the metaphor.
In terms of like the ending, where like we don't know if Natalie Portman, from the beginning of the movie is not the one that came out. Not just because she's went on a journey, but like her DNA has been altered. Like we saw it in her eyes. There's a shimmer in there, so she's already been affected.
She's been affected by the shimmer, for sure.
She's affected, but she is not the same as her husband, who has been completely replaced, but is still humanish. Because, like as the real Kane said before he killed himself, like my mind is like maybe gone. So maybe this new creature, because again everything is merging and everything's blending together. Maybe some of him got imprinted in terms of his consciousness, got imprinted on this alien version of him. So that's why he's like, I don't think I'm Kane. But in fact, he didn't say no completely. He says like, well, then there's something of him probably in there.
Right. Well, I think the movie tries to make it clear that what happened to Kane is what would have happened to the duplicate, the doppelganger Natalie Portman, if Natalie Portman hadn't set it on fire.
Right. But I think it's also showing that there are different types of change. That like this is an alien being that was changed into something more human, where Natalie Portman is human, who has become maybe just a little bit of alien or a little bit of something from that environment into her. So it's almost like you said, a mix and match or like an inverse or whatever, which kind of ties in with, because the movie is called Annihilation, and as I'm sure the definition of which is not just means destruction. I think in physics it means a particle.
Let's not go to physics.
And it's antiparticle combining. That is called annihilation. So
we don't have time for me to correct you about that, but go on.
I'm close enough. And so I'm saying we have two almost halves, like two inverses of each other. Alien with human and human with alien, coming together in the last scene, hugging each other, not knowing what the future's going to hold. I just didn't get what was the point of just duplicating a person? Was that the point? The whole point of this was just to duplicate?
That's
confused.
I totally agree that the ending, the significance of what it means at the end, that he's Kane, he's not Kane, she's been very iffy. I get the thread of human being, to be human is to be flawed, God makes mistakes, blah, 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 that the mistake is the magic and that's who we are. But yeah, pretty nebulous ending, which I'm fine with given the movie and given the fact that it's all semi-hallucinatory and did it really happened like this at all? I'm okay with it, but you're right. The ending's not satisfying at all. But by the time we got to the end, I was just so relieved that the damn movie was over. I was totally willing to be like, great, they hug, please roll credits. Oh, thank God, we're done. It's not going to be, then he opens his mouth and it's all of her horror, the worst memories of it. It could have been more nightmarish. I was just glad the thing was over. Shimmer, what does it mean? And we're done. I was okay with that. It's iffy. That definitely kept it from being a 10 out of 10 movie. But I will say the big thing I have to say before we go is she's supposed to be a soldier. And sometimes they did a great job with that. When she keeps both her eyes open as she's shooting that crocodile. Great job with that. But then on the other hand, so many of her actions are just so, let's be generous. Let's say they're tactically problematic.
She hasn't been a soldier in a long time. They do stress that. She wasn't recently.
Yeah,
it was
but they also make it pretty clear that it never leaves you. And some of the things these people did were just, come on, Natalie Portman. Let's all leave the guard tower to go have a fucking thing on the grass. Are you kidding? Whatever. But those two things, that's what brings down an 8.5 for me. Still an amazing experience. A freaky ass movie. Yeah. And I loved it.
In the best way possible.
Best way possible.
Yeah.
So there you have it, guys. That's our first take. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for joining us. Please let us know what you thought of the movie once you see it. And I've been, of course, Adam.
And I've been, of course, Colin.
And we will see you right back here next time on the next episode of Inside Voices First Takes. Have a good night. Get some sleep.
Blah.